a lot of these guys that are struggling are guys that don't spend any time in the simulator. Where'd you say Reddick was today?
He's at the sim. He was like, beep, beep, coming through. Y'all need to move because today is my day.
How is it possible that one car would be that far off from everybody else?
Oh, it's easy. It is so easy. You're telling me that drinking beer out of your racing shoe is different than eating a booger.
Yeah, for sure.
Welcome to Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour, presented by NASCAR on Fox. I'm Kevin Harvick. She's Kaitlyn Vincie. Mamba Smith.
Hey.
That's just it.
You
That's
good?
Mamba Smith.
We got nothing. Sleepy Harvey today?
I am sleepy.
Yeah.
Which,
He had a
when
busy
I'm sleepy,
weekend.
I'm grumpy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't noticed that you're grumpy today.
Not yet.
You're good.
It's still early.
Still early.
The show's
Day-
just starting.
We're just
Screw
beginning.
the show up. You're gonna find out how grumpy I am.
Hey, that will not happen. Welcome into another edition of Harvick's
Don't
Happy
challenge
Hour.
him.
We have plenty to talk about leaving Darlington, the track known as Too Tough to Tame. I know you got a lot of good sips on board, and we will also preview Martinsville, which is the short track coming up. Where can they find us on the socials?
Harvick Happy Hour.
That's wrong.
Wrong.
Harvick Happy Pod. I know. I was just seeing if my co-hosts were going
He
to catch
already
it.
warned that he could be grumpy. So
I know.
let's just
That's
get
why
the-
you just got to poke the barrel
You've
over.
sat
and see
here
if
for
we
2
got it.
hours and you can't figure out how to say one phrase.
Harvick Happy Pod.
Good
We
job.
got it.
Harvick Happy
Good job.
Pod.
I did. I didn't even look
Way
at
to
the notes.
rebound. Way to rebound.
Listen, sometimes you got to catch it off the rebound and slam it back through.
That is also the YouTube page as well. Make sure you subscribe on there. Okay, so Kevin, last week we talked about all of the unknowns going into this race. Did you think it played out how you thought it was going to in Darlington?
Well, we know that Tyler Reddick has been really good at Darlington in the past, not able to get to victory lane, but man, he stomped them. And if he doesn't go to the back, this turns into a snooze fest for first. And, I think that they nailed the setup with the new package, as far as the cars being able to be driven well. I think that all the drivers were struggling with rear grip. And I think that for the 45 and even the 23, I thought the 23 car was really good of Bubba Wallace. He had a bad pit stop there and then got in the back and then got crashed. But Tyler Reddick, from the time they dropped the green flag in practice, he was the car to beat. And they got the balance of the race car right. They got all the things out of the way with the cool suit and changing the battery, got that out of the way early, and he was able to drive back to the front. So I think that overall, I thought that the race was better to watch. I thought that the drivers liked driving the cars, which is important to be able to have those guys be challenged inside the race car. So, I think that the first go at it was a success at Darlington. Obviously, we've run it at Phoenix with the more horsepower, less downforce package. But Darlington, everybody had Darlington circled because it was going to be. It's just difficult no matter what package aero-wise you have underneath the car. And this package just took so much grip away from the race cars. So it's a good show.
It was a good show. Kevin referenced all the issues for Tyler Reddick between the voltage, the cool suit, a battery change.
Yeah.
I got to imagine that he feels even prouder of this win in terms of what they were able to overcome as a unit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously that 45 was as fast as Xfinity Internet.
Oh, my heavens.
No, they were hauling the mail though, and I think that their group, they just are in their process of how they bring their setups together. Whatever Tyler's doing in the sim, what Billy Scott and that group is doing on the car, they really love their process right now because obviously it keeps working. So they're just building speed into these things.
Here's the thing: they have the fastest cars and the most confidence. And when you have those two things together, that's a dangerous combination because when you have scenarios where the car breaks and things aren't going your way, it's like no big deal. You pull into pits, they fix it, and it's like I'm going to drive right back to the front, and that's how this works. And the other thing that they're doing, they're not fumbling away opportunities while they have the fastest car. The field will catch up to them in some way, shape, or form. But right now, 2311 Toyota in general has had the fastest cars consistently all year.
They do this thing. It's interesting with the Toyota group, maybe 2311 specifically. Kevin referenced it on the broadcast a lot. Like they have had the most brake issues, right? So not that was a big thing in this race, but like the little issues that you don't really see anyone having, they seem to find a way to have them. And in the past, they usually came up in situations that took them out of the win. I remember one time when I was with Randy Goss was our crew chief, and we had Kyle Larson driving, and we wanted to go to this smaller battery because it was lighter and it was more powerful. Well, two of our teammates, the battery blew up in the car. And Randy shook that thing out as fast as he said, absolutely not. We're going to go back to what we know. And sometimes that's the situation. So in that situation, that scenario with the battery, it could have ruined their day completely.
Derailed everything.
If it melts down, there's no getting that back in and getting the car back on track. So for them to make that adjustment, make the change, and then Tyler to fight, it was hot out. It was hot in Darlington.
It was. If it wasn't 90, it was damn close.
It was all over it. So for him to battle that and then battle that car with no
He said, maybe I don't need all this stuff after all.
Yeah. He probably needs to talk to Ricky Stenhouse a little bit. Ricky will tell all those boys you don't need it anyway.
Funny, yeah. Michael Jordan, obviously very complimentary of Tyler Reddick, being head in the game, staying calm through all of that stuff. So we've been talking on the show over the last couple of years about would we ever see a team having those maybe double-digit dominance in wins? He already has 4. It's very early in the year. How many do you think he maybe could get?
Well, I think that the early momentum is going to keep rolling for a bit here. But I do think that the rest of the field is going to catch up at some point. But that's the interesting part about this point system, right? You don't get all those mulligans to win and get yourself in. So we see the Chevrolets and the Fords be kind of hit or miss. On those weeks where they're not running good, they're losing points. And I still am pretty firm that you got to be in that top 6 to win this championship when the points reset. So right now, Tyler Reddick's put himself in a fairly good position to be one of those 6 cars, and I think from second on back, the points race is pretty tight. But when you see the mistakes that are being made and the finishes not being taken advantage of for guys that are running good and having catastrophic failure at the end of stages or at the end of the race, like we saw with Kyle Larson this week again, it adds up. And you might make the top 16, but you're not winning this championship if you're not in those top 6.
The complexion of the points very interesting right now. How many wins do you think Reddick might get?
Ooh, I don't know. It's because it's an interesting situation. If we were in the old point system, I would say it could get upwards to like 8 pretty easily because he can be as aggressive as he wants to. But he can't be as aggressive as he wants to because all those points. So? No, well, not as
he's 95 points up.
He's 95 points up, but you could lose points really quickly. I mean, we talked about it before the show started. I think a max day, like a maximum top to bottom, is like 70, is what we kind of talked about. So that's a lot. He's 95 up. That's great. But you don't want to lose any of it. You know what I mean? And I think if he can just keep applying pressure. And I think that's important and maybe more so what they should keep doing. Keep bringing fast cars to the racetrack, but keep making everyone else have to chase you. Just if you can stay just a little bit in front of them and make them make the mistakes, that gap is just going to keep growing. And then with like 4 races to go, they can just Hail Mary it and probably be fine.
Yeah, well, I think they can keep being aggressive with where they're at right now. And I think that when you look at where they are, in with such a huge lead, it gives them the ability to take chances. But the thing that I like about where Reddick and his team are, think back to Vegas, right? Like they were 4th to 8th place car, and that's where they finished. And when you have the points lead, that's where you need to be conservative and take those finishes of if you're running 8th, finish 8th and maximize the day, because you just don't want to be the guy that's running 8th and finishes 25th. So that's where they need to be conservative and not trying to be a hero. But on the days when you have the car that's capable of winning like they did this weekend, you got to try to still take advantage of that.
His aggression was
unparalleled.
It was fun to watch him come back through the field. Like he was not worried about what other guys had go on. He was like, beep, beep, coming through. Y'all need to move because today is my day.
Let's show that move that he had on Ty Gibbs there towards the tail end of the race, because I think you guys
had a couple good ones.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest moves of the race. But just speaks to your comments about his aggression level.
Full send. Like he goes into turn 3, clears him by what? 3 car lengths, and there's not even a shot for Ty to get back under him and turn back.
And puts it up next to the wall perfectly to exit the corner. And that's the thing that comes with confidence as you're going through these races week after week after week. You just have that ability to perform at an elite level because of the fact that you don't think you can do anything wrong. So until that momentum stops and they have some sort of issue or situation to stop the momentum, that train's going to keep rolling.
Let me ask you, Kevin, is this the package that we just ran at Darlington? Is it the same as what we had at COTA and the same as Phoenix? And is it the same as what's going to be at Martinsville?
That's right.
Okay. Do you think that they learned something about forward drive? Because in COTA, we talked about how down the straightaway, no matter what SVG did in the corner, 45 is gone. And it seemed like a lot of that was happening this weekend too, where they just kept the rear car tires hooked up. Do you think they found some forward drive within this package, or you think it's all separate? And
looks to me like they have a lot of horsepower too, you know, with the new package and the way that car would run down the straightaway at COTA. But, you know, the other thing that to me, it actually came out of the Denny Hamlin conversation, and I asked him about Tyler Reddick. And I said, hey, you know, it just seems like Tyler's more mature, wants to be the leader of the team. He says, man, you're pretty observant. He's like, that is exactly the case. Tyler had to step up and be an elite driver. And he mentioned to me that if they can figure out how to run and win on short tracks, then they're a championship contender. But Denny said himself that he didn't believe, he believed that they were championship quality, but until they can figure the short track piece of it out, that's when they're going to, if they figure that part out, Denny's words, not mine, that they're going to be really dangerous because that's been their weak point.
Yeah,
we'll be talking short tracks later in the show. And that interview with Kevin and Denny Hamlin will be available on Thursday also. So Tyler Reddick and company has a lot of confidence. So too does it seem like Brad Keselowski after this weekend. Picked up a lot of points with the stage wins. What do you think has aided in their progress the most?
He qualified good.
Yes, he did.
He's been in the trunk every week in qualifying. And if you don't qualify in the front of these races, you don't get to make adjustments leading the pack, running in the front of the pack. Your car handles different in the middle of the pack and the back of the pack, which is where they've been starting. And it takes them all day to get to the front of the pack. This week, he started up front, one of his best racetracks. RFK has run good there in the past. And both he and Chris Buescher were really fast race cars. I think that Brad took advantage of Tyler having to go to the back of the field to make his pit stop for all the battery issues and things that he had going on. But Brad was fast, and you know, I think that the key for the 6 car is qualifying. They have to qualify in the front, or they don't have the opportunities to show what they have speed wise, but they also don't know what they have from a car standpoint because they're just battling for their life all day. And the Fords are notoriously worse in traffic than the other two brands. So the Fords qualifying up front is more key than the other two brands, in my opinion. Both very important to get that track position in the front, but it seems like the Ford struggles a little bit more in traffic.
Brad Keselowski with his best qualifying effort so far of the year. It seemed like another area that was a little bit dicey for them was pit road for the 6. Do you think they're going to have to kind of clean that area up a bit if they're really going to contend for a win?
Everyone has to, right? You can't. Pit road, those guys on pit road are getting so good, and there's a couple teams that are just smoking some pit stops. And I was talking to Darrell Edwards, who's a Jackman on the 20, and this week he was like, typically at Darlington, it's a good place for us to get into a rhythm because there's a lot of pit stops and to bust off some really fast times. But the way the setups were, the droop of the rear of the cars was different. So the tires were coming out of the wheel well slower. And so that was going to affect their rhythm a little bit. So that could have been part of the reason why some of the guys had problems. But Brad Keselowski is highly motivated, obviously, right now. I don't know if it's because he broke his leg and then everyone's like, well, you should just retire.
Well, he is walking around with the cane still.
He's pimping. I mean, he's got it going on.
Bought that thing on Amazon, he said.
Yeah, the cane is working for him. So when his leg fully heals, he might just need to keep it because obviously there's some speed.
Part of his
aura
now,
in the cane. Yeah. But
speed in the cane.
Speed in the cane. I actually talked to Priest before the race, and I was like, man, the way you guys operate at RFK, it seems like you guys are all on the same page.
Yes.
And you're all working together. He's like, you mean we don't care? He's like, we all want to win. But if the 17 or the 6 wins, I'm happy for the company. And I'm not so sure every company has that.
No, it's very evident with the 3 of them at RFK with the things that they do off the racetrack, how they interact with each other at the racetrack. It's very noticeable. Yep. And I think that makes a huge difference in the progression of the race cars when you can have proper conversation during the week about an honest conversation about, you know, what was your car doing, and each teammate be able to talk openly about that and believe what the other guy is saying. And I think right now they have that confidence in each other, all 3 of them, to be able to believe in each other. And I think that is it is a very healthy organization right now as far as the camaraderie between the group.
Yeah. One team that didn't look particularly healthy yesterday was Team Penske. Tale of two teams. You have Ryan Blaney and Austin Cindric both earning top 5 performances. Ryan overcoming quite a few things, but then Joey Logano was nowhere to be seen.
Got
How
lapped
is
3
it
times.
Possible that one car would be that far off from everybody else?
Oh, it's easy. It is so easy. And especially in a situation where you have a new rules package at a place that is so tough. I know this is the 3rd race that we've run with those rules, but Darlington is just such a beast as far as the racetrack itself and trying to get the car to drive right. And you have to do so many things that are different than all the other racetracks in order to get the car to stay underneath you. So 22 bunch missed it bad. And, you see Austin Cindric up there in the top 10 and obviously Blaney has been the Ford to beat on a weekly basis, but for the most part, the Roush Fenway group carried the banner for Ford this weekend as far as the performance side of it goes.
Pure speed for sure.
Definitely, I can promise you, Joey Logano was going to be the first one in the shop today.
I bet,
because he could not be happy with the way that car ran.
There's it seemed like there was a lot of drivers that were complaining about how their race cars were handling, which is shocking, but like almost at a high level of concern. Like we missed it so bad, and I think that gets compounded when you have 2311 sweeping the front row, and then even Riley Herbst, who ran well in practice. He was second in his practice. He qualified well. Ran like 12th all day before getting wrecked. I mean, people were telling me over the weekend that Riley should be fired. He has no business being in the car. And then he goes to the hardest racetrack on the schedule and is running in the top 15. I mean,
give him a minute.
Yeah, and, even before the race, we heard Ross Chastain talk about, how he just they can't figure out what they need to do on the second half of those runs with the Trackhouse cars, and SVG finished 14th again this weekend, figuring it out. And, you've got the Hendrick cars that are kind of all over the place. And so it's a challenge to get this Gen 7 car right. And a lot of times when you try something different that is, out of bounds from what your teammates try, everybody's got different driving styles, and some guys it just doesn't fit well.
Ryan Blaney has to be encouraged because he typically does not run that well at Darlington. He only had one top 5 performance prior to the weekend, and he was able to overcome issues on pit road once again. But he was very vocal on the radio saying, "We have got to clean this up. We got to be better than this."
Yeah, and I think you guys, this is that stop where again they do have a pit stop.
Third one.
Then they pull down into another teammate's pit stall and they have to tighten up a wheel. I think you guys mentioned on the broadcast like 33rd ranking on pit road. Like you can't win a championship like that. No. And I think Ryan and that group, they're doing a good job keeping their heads together and still trudging through it and battling back through. But like it shouldn't be that hard for them to have a car that fast to where they think they could win the race. And it was all day to get back to 3rd. Because if he could have been up there, you never know if he could have made a couple adjustments and with Jonathan Hassler and been right in the mix.
Yeah, and you have some standout pit crews. I mean, the 20 has been the standout pit crew. 17 group has done a good job. 54 has done a good job. So you've got 5 to 7 of those groups that stand elite out on pit road. And then you have some concerns. I mean, I've been concerned with the Penske pit stops really from the beginning of the year. And Ryan Blaney's obviously stick out the most because of the trouble that they've had and how it holds them back from keeping themselves with the track position that they need to be able to win these races. But it always seems like it times out that way. You've got these badass fast cars and all of a sudden the pit crew timing is a little bit off. And then you get the pit crew right and then the cars don't have the
it's
same
like your golf
speed.
Game.
Yeah.
You get off the tee box, you can putt great. You can't get down through the fairway in the trees.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan Blaney very eloquently reminding his team to do better. I thought he handled that pretty
well. He did handle it really well. And I think
do you think he's past I think he's past the major meltdowns.
You think?
For the most part, like
he's matured. He's a dad now.
Yeah, the mustache must be bringing some wisdom and a little bit more calmness to him.
Well, he's definitely got fast cars, and I would imagine that if it continues to happen, he's going to become more frustrated with the situation than he has been over the last 2 weeks. But they definitely have to clean that up in order to put themselves in a position to compete with cars that are faster, right? Like. You never know what would have happened if he could have kept himself up there all day, got control of the race. What was that car going to be like in clean air compared to BK and Reddick? So, I mean, Reddick had the dominant car. You saw the pit stop on the 23 car, put him back in the field. Got crashed.
Yeah, that was a little dicey.
And that's the thing that happens when you make the mistakes on pit road. But we've seen it over and over and over again. You want these pit stops are so fast. You're right on the verge of a disaster all the time. So we saw a lot of mistakes this week, and we'll continue to see those as we go through the season.
Someone who didn't really make mistakes was the Hurricane, old Carson Hocevar, with a top 5 performance, the lead Chevrolet too, which I think might be the most interesting part of that whole story.
Yeah, Spire was the first 2 Chevrolets. You had Daniel Suarez had a great weekend again, just consistent right there, qualified good, ran inside the top 10 pretty much the whole day and finished there. So Hocevar knocked 2 toe links off the thing in practice and qualifying, so he had to start at the rear of the race and put himself in a position late in the race with a tire strategy, methodically worked himself forward throughout the whole weekend. But he's exciting. He's fast. He's exciting.
Man.
Fun to
watch.
watch.
At a place like Darlington, kept the car in one piece all day and was able to give himself and Chevrolet the best finish there at the end.
Do you think he wins this year?
I think he's got the speed to win. I think it's just a matter of getting over that hump, right? Like just we talk about it with Ty Gibbs and just getting that first one is so difficult, just knowing what's going to happen when your team's in that position to have to make that last pit stop or you got to make that last restart. I mean, at the Daytona 500, he had as good a chance to win that race as anybody. Yeah.
Echo Park.
What have you seen out of Hocevar? Cool car, by the way, this weekend.
Great scheme by Chili's in that group. That was on point. Man, Hocevar's a dog. He's just a dog. Like watching him drive on Friday in the truck race, it was just like, this guy has no quit and has no regard for anybody else but himself and his team. And he's going to do whatever he thinks he has to do to win a race. And I think if he getting over that hump, it's the next time he's in a real position in the Cup Series to win a race, like you got to get it. Like, and I think he's going to, as he's been able to grind out finishes and start maybe a little further back middle of the day and then make his way to the front towards the end, I think those are things that are going to help them the most. And then you look over at the 7, someone who I think, Daniel Suarez, someone who I think a lot of people had written off because he's now with his 7th team, it feels like. No, he needs to be around the right people, the right group of people that are pulling in the same direction. And I think we take for granted what that looks like and what that could be because we look at it from the outside looking in. You're like, oh, well, Ross is doing great. SVG's doing a good job. Well, Daniel must just suck. Well, maybe not. Maybe that just it wasn't working out. And now it's working out where he's at now. And that refresh for that 7 group is big for them, too, because it wasn't working out who was driving for them
what
before.
You thought was kind of a lateral move to Spire has actually been a massive step up for him from a performance standpoint. And that's the part of not knowing. Not knowing what you're stepping into, what the chemistry is going to be like, what the progression of the team is. And obviously Spire has made their cars better.
Yep.
The 7 and 77 have run consistently better. I think the 71 is going to have to pick up the pace in order to keep up with those 2 guys because it's, they're performing well at this point. And, I think that is the reverse effect of what you see. That's the other side of the story. You got 2 guys that have improved, and McDowell hasn't taken that step up with the 7 and 77.
And it's really hard to have 3 cars at the tier of which Spire is. It's hard to have 3 cars up in that top 10. I mean, the top 10 is getting really crowded. The top 15 is really crowded. There's week to week, there's about 20 cars that if you he won, I wouldn't be shocked. Ross Chastain, I think going into the weekend was 20th in points. He could win any given weekend.
Yeah.
It's talent-wise. Talent-wise.
Talent-wise,
talent-wise.
yes.
The driver could win any given
I don't
weekend.
know that. I mean, his
team
cars
right now is
his
not
cars
as
are
much.
not winning cars
No,
right
no,
now.
no,
But
just driver.
his driving ability and work ethic, he could, in the right situation, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Sounds like he was very candid with you about the cars being off as well in that pre-race interview.
I was just listening. I didn't interview him.
Oh, okay. Just listening. So someone who didn't finish in the top 10 was Denny Hamlin. An incident between him and Eric Jones in stage 1. Bubba Wallace also part of the melee. What did you see happening here?
Well, listening to Denny's explanation on the radio, he had blocked him. The 43 had blocked him, and going into turn 3, he had kind of looked left, and the 43 moved to block, and Denny was already committed to dive into the corner and probably try to do a slide job, because with the momentum that he had, he hit him pretty hard. He hit him pretty hard. And ultimately it got Denny into the fence, and Bubba Wallace hit the back end of Denny's car and tore his car up and hit the fence as well. So kind of a chain reaction right there. But Eric Jones came back to finish 10th.
That's pretty impressive.
And that's his best track.
It is, yeah.
Eric Jones has done a really good job at Darlington throughout the years, winning races and being competitive every time that he shows up there. So Denny, and then he had a loose left rear wheel that he had to battle there at the end of the second stage as he was trying to nurse that car home. To be able to not have to pit and go a lap down, which they did. And I think that ultimately that was just one of those timing errors that got the 43 spun out, and 11 and 23 tore up.
It's got to be a concerning feeling for a driver with a wheel like that.
It's very interesting when that left rear doesn't get tight and get on the dowels correctly, but that lock keeps the wheel on, but it slides back and forth, and it feels like the old track bar movement that used to have. But when you're used to that car driving straight all day and not having any movement to it at all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what was that? And then you go down the straightaway and it goes the other way. So you come up off the corner and the car's got that yaw to the right, and then you go back down the straightaway and it goes the other way. It's a weird feeling when that car is meant to be straight up.
Are you saying the pucker factor gets ratcheted up a little bit?
Well, you don't know what's wrong. And we heard him talking about thinking that he had a flat tire, but ultimately it was the wheel loose on the left rear.
So Denny Hamlin probably not having the day he wanted to have. What about Kyle Larson? Because he ended up finishing 32nd. He was running 11th when he hit the wall with 7 to go. These are the concerns you've expressed with him.
Well, first off, this is a racetrack that we expect Kyle Larson to contend for the win.
Be dominant.
And be dominant. So I think that tells you where they're at with their cars right now, and knowing that they have some work to do to get the balance and speed out of their cars that they need. We saw them up in the front at Vegas, kind of in the mix in the top 5 for sure, but never that dominant speed like we've seen out of the Toyotas so far. I mean, we've seen dominant speed out of those cars at times, and we have not seen that at Vegas or Darlington, which I would consider 2 of Kyle Larson's best tracks. So really interesting scenario, and I think for him wrecking from 11th, those are the things that you can't do. You can't do that in this point system. If you have an 11th place car, you got to finish 11th. Otherwise, you're just throwing dirt on yourself and making things worse.
His average finish has really declined in the spring Darlington race. His last 4 races were 20th, 34th, 37th, and 32nd.
Yeah, and a lot of those other ones, he was hauling ass.
Oh, yeah.
Like he was...
But just doesn't have finishes to show for it.
He just hasn't been able to finish the spring race at Darlington. And I think, obviously we just talked about it. That was the question going into this year. Like, will he, if they're not, running really well, is he going to push it a little bit too far and get himself in a situation where they're losing a lot of points?
Your answer is yes.
And the answer is, so far, yes. Now, it's surprising because I think he's still 10th in points. So, but I wouldn't, if I'm him, I'm like, okay, like I need to settle down a little bit. We need to get our cars faster and keep up in the points, because I can't put us behind in points just because I want to go get one more spot. That one more spot isn't worth doing what you did at Darlington and finishing 32nd.
Well, and the crutch has always been we have cars fast enough to keep winning.
Right.
Right now, the cars aren't to that spot yet to be able to put themselves in position to win multiple races. And they're going to get there. It's just, they're not there right now. Yeah. And when you're in that position, you just take what you can get. And if you're going to run 11th, finish 11th. Because if you can run 11th and you just nitpick it all day to just grind away, and, the 54 did it this weekend, Hocevar did it this weekend. There were several of those guys that just grounded out and put themselves in a position to get a decent finish and get out of there. So but when you're running 11th, you have to finish 11th.
It's the old school. It's the old school version of racing, man.
That's right.
You don't have any mulligans. You can't get it all back next week.
No,
you can't. You can lose it.
Yeah, there's no winning in.
No, Scott.
More orthodox version of racing and going after a title.
That's right.
Good job on the Drivers Only broadcast, by the way.
Yeah, that was fun.
Kevin.
Yeah, we had a good time up there, and we kind of split it up this year. everybody's like, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to make sure that Joey and Ryan have to live under the pain of play-by-play. I want them to have to do reads. I want them to take it into the break, out of the break.
Yeah.
And so we split it all up, and I think it came across as fun, which I thought we had a good time up there, and we had a great race. That was just a great race to call. The ending was phenomenal with everything that Heim was able to do and kind of catch Chastain off guard right there in the last two corners. So when you have a good race to call, it makes things a lot easier.
That's right.
A lot better. I ran into Madison Stenhouse on pit road.
I thought Ricky did really good.
And I was like, damn, Ricky did a good job. She goes, yeah. I didn't know he could use that many big words in a row like that. I was like, this is awesome.
He might have had the longest pit road report of mankind, known to mankind.
He didn't, you know what it was? He just kept it right here. And it was like he was just sitting on the couch, and that's what made it so long.
The thing about drivers only is who knew Austin Cindric had a personality. Since he started doing the pit road reporting, we've all learned that Austin Cindric is a pretty funny dude.
He is.
And that's really what drivers only is all about, is learning about who these drivers are and how they talk and what they say. And I think that one of the interesting parts was Hocevar talking about drivers only after qualifying. He's like, yeah, I'm sure somebody's going to try to stir up some shit on pit road. So we had Cindric and Stenhouse down there to interview Hocevar. So it was definitely a little bit awkward.
My favorite part was you guys were asking, because Cindric had been in the booth or indoors. He had AC and he was warm and everything was fine in the prior races. Now he's back on pit road. And you guys asked him, what happened? Cindric, you got demoted. He's like, yeah, that's show business.
Yeah.
So
he's right.
He's
that
hilarious.
is show business.
Yeah.
Well, good job, guys. It was entertaining to watch. Okay, we are headed to Martinsville Speedway, short track coming up next for everybody. You've obviously won there in the past. What makes it so mentally and physically exhausting racing at Martinsville?
I'm not real sure how I won, but somehow we won. It was not my favorite racetrack. It was never.
I like the honesty.
It was never one that I said, man, I'm so excited to go to Martinsville this weekend. It was always like, yeah, we're going to Martinsville this weekend.
My favorite thing about watching Kevin go to Martinsville when I was a kid is I always knew he was going to get pissed off and run through somebody.
Oh, dear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was always something you could bet on.
For sure. Yeah. And to the very last day.
Yeah.
It was definitely a place that frustrated me. But
I think it frustrates a lot of them, right?
Yeah. And I think with the power, I mean, we still have another racetrack with more power, less rear downforce. What's the drive off the corner look like? Mm-hmm. That's really at Phoenix and all these places that we've gone to. And everybody knows that. And I think everybody saw that going to Darlington. Guys missed the balance of the race car. Back still blew the back tires off, but now they got the front to where they didn't turn on the entry to the corners. So who can hit that balance right, keep the rear tires on the race car and still get it to turn through the middle of the corners? So it'll be interesting to hear what everybody thinks about the power at a place like Martinsville with all the gear and everything in it, to be able to do what they do. But I'm looking for the Hendrick cars. Mm-hmm. I think that
they got to show up.
They got to show up at Martinsville to be able to. It's not that they've ran bad,
right?
It's just that they haven't been great like we expect them to be, mm-hmm. and that's the expectation that we put on those cars. But I really feel like anybody could hit it, like we saw this weekend with Reddick. Brad Keselowski hit it at Darlington,
yeah,
and I think you could see. Somebody hit it like BK did last weekend at Darlington. So I still expect it to be Gibbs versus Hendrick.
Yeah. If you can get the car rotated early on in the corner and then use that power and have that straight line drive, that's really what everyone's going to be looking for. And if you didn't have any of that at Darlington, you're probably a little nervous about how you're going to find that at Martinsville, because it's just magnified. Mm-hmm. Kevin talks about our expectation of Hendrick. Well, heavy is the head that the crown sits upon, and they are the ones that always are dominant and always on the front and always winning these championships and all this stuff. They have not been behind in a while. Right. Even when we made the switch over, they still were one of the front teams when the switch happened with went from one generation of car to another. They're not even behind. They're just not. They're just not great. They're just like for our expectations. So it'll be interesting to see where they show up, because this is a track where they've literally won 1, 2, 3 before.
Yeah.
So we expect that.
And I just wonder, we've heard so much talk about, the F1 team and everything that Chevrolet has going on. Ford same way, right? Like with their F1 program, but Chevy and Cadillac have designed the F1 program from top to bottom. Where are the resources allocated right now while you're trying to make your F1 program go? I know Hendrick has a lot of resources within, but we know the manufacturer controls the keys to so many things right now with the simulation and all the things that happen. How deep are those resources to help their teams get to where they need to be early in the season?
I mean, one of the things, it's funny you bring that up. As you were talking, I was thinking about this. Like one of the things for Penske that really was a benefit to them was with the other cars that they have with the underbody, they were able to lean on other people within the organization to get their cup cars kind of up to where they needed to be with the new aero package. Well, now Spire has TWG that they work with, and they might be getting some of that technology, some of that help too. And that might be helping them, while Hendrick, to your point, it may not be getting all the same attention to the resources now that the GM and the Cadillac
Think about this.
You know what I mean?
Think about this. We talk about some of these guys that have been struggling. We talk about a lot of these guys that are struggling are guys that don't spend any time in the simulator. How you going to fix it, fellas?
Right.
And you had no base before because you didn't spend time in the simulator before.
Tell me how you're going to fix your car if you don't go to the simulator. It is not going to happen. And that's the problem when people get out of the routine of going to the simulator because everything's going good and they start skipping steps in the process. But we hear so many of these guys talk about not going to the simulator. Well, now you're in a bind, and that's the only resource that you have to be able to test things during the week. And it's hard to get that baby fired back up only when it's going bad. So if you don't do those things when it's going good, when it's going bad, the resources that you have are limited.
20 minutes of practice is not enough to get that ship turned around.
Is that just a complacency thing, or why would you not tap into a resource that you have available to you?
Well, I think a lot of guys get frustrated in the simulator to be able to go in there week after week after week. But being in there week after week allows things to be developed around you and helps the engineers fix their system to get, especially when you're in a new scenario where you have new aero packages, you have new different tires at a lot of these racetracks. And if you're not in there scaling those tires and you're just leaving it to the sim guys to be able to do that, in my opinion, it's going to take you longer to catch up.
Yeah, Tom Brady was still throwing after practice with his wide receivers and working on routes, and he's the GOAT. So
but think about how many of those guys talk about not going to the simulator.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of them.
It's a good point. So we know Hendrick is feeling the heat. Who else are you?
Oh, timeout. Where'd you say Reddick was today?
He's at the sim.
Oh,
yeah.
That's why he can't do his interview with
I got
Mamba.
you.
Yeah,
He
got.
He said, "I rest my case."
I got you. The guy that's won 4 out of the first 6 races is in the simulator
in the
today.
lab working on his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could be a champion.
Point made.
Mic drop.
I was just going to ask, though, what other teams do you feel like are feeling a little bit of the heat entering the weekend right now?
I mean, there's no hiding from the 8 car and the Kyle Busch and those guys and everything that they're going through, with him in the last year of his contract and the pressure for those cars to run better. So, I think that we definitely we got to see some improvement pretty quick out of the 8. I think that the Trackhouse cars are feeling some heat to be able to get themselves in position when you hear your lead driver start talking about the deficits of your car. I think that Joey Logano's got to be sounding the alarm. I know he qualified on the pole at Phoenix, but it was Blaney winning the race, and Joey does a great job of keeping his track position and qualifying and doing all those things, but they got lapped 3 times at Darlington. So, there's definitely a lot of different things happening within the whole NASCAR world right now as far as who needs work, who doesn't. And then we've had so many different aero packages, different styles of racetracks that you're all over the place as to what do we approach first?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we off the most?
It's hard to know where you're really lacking the most when the schedule is as complex as it is right now, which is a great thing as a fan and for us to look at and talk about. But as a competitor, you're like, I wish I had 4 mile-and-a-halfs in a row so I could work on just this for a minute, get into a rhythm, because you had a super speedway at Daytona, you had a super speedway on steroids, but it's high downforce. It's not the same super speedway at Echo Park. We went to a road course with no grip whatsoever at it, and now we went to the hardest track on our schedule at Darlington. Oh, by the way, we're gonna go to Martinsville, where everyone's just gonna be mad because
then you're gonna take a week off and go to Bristol,
and then take a week off.
Yeah,
that's right.
Good start to the season.
Yep,
that's right.
It's gonna make it very interesting as we head to the paperclip this weekend. And now it is your turn to take over.
What do you? Kaitlyn, what's
no?
this?
He's not taking over. We're just gonna let him do a segment.
No. We're taking over.
No,
because ladies and gentlemen, it's your favorite part of the show, Mamba's Social Sips. Shout out to everyone in Darlington that came out. It was awesome. We had
for the Ram rides.
Oh man, the Ram rides, the Ram thrill rides were in full effect.
I almost spit my water out.
The Ram rides were in full effect. So if you didn't make it out to Darlington for it, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to pay attention where we show up next. Okay, let's start with the word of the week.
Yes.
Kevin did a great job with this one. It wasn't hard.
I mean, it was a layup.
But it meant something to the people.
Okay.
Let's run the clip.
RFK is having a great day here in South Kakalaki.
Tell you who is not, and that is Bubba Wallace. He got into the wall in turn 2 a couple laps ago and is kind of nursing that car around now. He's now dropped a lap down.
This is a little South Kakalaki.
No one reacted. It's wild.
Well, when I don't fumble through it with whatever the word was the week before. What was it?
Don't ask me.
Okay.
gosh.
I was just checking.
We're moving on.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a tough one.
South Kakalaki was kind of a relief.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
I bet it was after that.
I didn't stress out about that one.
No, you didn't have to.
I didn't even write it down.
No, you
After
didn't
that
have to.
Vegas one, probably everything will feel like a layup now.
No AI needed.
No
AI
No.
needed.
No, we'll
No
get 'em-
pronunciation
We'll get
needed.
him fired back up. You know what I mean? We'll get him fired back up. So we are going to Martinsville, big race, and Brad Perez, who's a garage favorite, a grinder, just a guy trying to figure it out, put on social media that he had an opportunity to run the ARCA race. I think this was in Phoenix. That got covered, and he's still looking for some help from Martinsville, Charlotte, Darlington, Kansas. Well, somebody answered the call, and it was a one, Bubba Wallace. I like Martinsville. I'm in for $15K.
It's pretty awesome.
And helps
Cool to
out
see
Brad.
another competitor do that.
There's people that our garage is really good about that. Like I've had help from Kevin, from Tony, from Ricky Stenhouse, Kyle Larson, Bubba, Blaney, like AJ Allmendinger, a bunch. Like our garage understands how hard it is to race. And the people that are doing it at a high level, they appreciate, I feel like, the grit and grind of somebody.
We went through a situation like this one time with Morgan Shepherd. And I'm like, man, it would be so cool to see Morgan Shepherd run good. So I had the KHI guys go get his car a couple weeks in a row and bring it to the shop and go through it and work on it. And that's definitely not something that hasn't happened in this sport before. So good on Bubba for helping Brad out.
Yeah.
That's
so good luck to
story,
Brad.
yeah.
Hope he has a good run.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something else, someone that I really am looking forward to is this next guy that we're going to talk about. We actually have a little video, and then I'll mention his name. But let's run the video first.
At Martinsville, Lee Pulliam pulls ahead 24 1,000ths of a second. What a race.
What you guys think about Lee Pulliam?
Tell me how Lee never got a real shot.
Tell me how this guy doesn't have a NASCAR seat already.
You can't. 4 national titles and he's still waiting.
Absolute monster.
Listen, this guy, if you didn't see it, Lee Pulliam, Virginia's own, one of the best short track racers to ever strap in a late model. I'm so excited to see Lee get this opportunity with JRM.
Yeah, and I think that Lee quit before he should have. And I think that he won the race this weekend in South Boston, their opener for the late model stocks at South Boston Speedway. But Lee is a genuinely good person, has been a big part of short track racing in this area for a long time. And I think I don't know. I think he went through a part of his life where he was like, I need to make a living. I've got a family. I need to just work on the cars and give up on the driving piece of it. And that all got reignited, and now you see him in the late model stock again. You're going to see him in the JRM car. What a great opportunity for somebody who probably deserved it before this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now he's going to get, that opportunity to go out and show it.
The
Kaitlyn,
accolades speak for
yeah.
themselves. They're listed right there for everyone to see.
You're for him. You grew up at Langley, Hampton, so you know of Lee obviously very well.
Yeah.
Like, what's that mean to that area up there?
I think it's huge, obviously, for the Virginia short track community. It's kind of the same when Josh Berry went over and had all of his success too in the Cup Series. It means a lot, and it just reinvigorates that whole program and what people are trying to do.
Yeah, it's like him and like
Yeah.
Bubba Paul, like
And
those
gives
two guys.
people hope that they can make this happen.
Oh man, when those two guys get opportunities, it just gets everyone's attention.
Yeah, and
'cause-
Bubba made the most of his at
Hell yeah.
Richmond. He did a great job. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun to
Good
watch.
for Lee.
Looking forward to that. We love burnouts and donuts here.
Donuts.
Absolutely.
This is what we love that most. And William Byron tried his best. He got to go over to the Canes, the Hurricanes, our local North Carolina hockey team. They gave him the Zamboni, which I don't think they knew he was going to do this. And he
Probably
just started
not.
blowing donuts on the ice with the Zamboni.
William's been busy lately with all kinds of different activities, I've noticed.
Hey,
Yeah.
DAP pays, baby.
Well, that's his only burnout practice he's had this year.
Ah, shots fired.
So we're not firing any shots. So those are just
Factual.
facts.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Did you see?
But I like it.
Yeah.
But I like it.
I like this burnout.
Did you see him? Because they do the horn. They do like the side.
That
yeah,
was
I've done
like, he was getting after
Did you
it.
see him do it in his video? His
I
arm-
didn't even think that was him at first.
I think he might need to get the doctor to look at his shoulder because he had that thing ripping.
He's a huge Canes fan, though.
big time.
Yeah.
He got to do their draft pick.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so
I mean,
cool.
he's a local Charlotte, North Carolina kid. So he grew up with the Panthers and the Hurricanes. So he's
Cool.
still following his roots on his sports teams for sure.
For sure. And one little extra thing. We've started, we're now 3 weeks straight into NASCAR Sundays. So we've been doing a watch
really?
party. We've been doing watch parties in Charlotte.
he has
Anybody
his
show up?
own watch party.
Yeah, about 30
They had
people that have
40
been showing
people,
up.
you
30,
said.
40 people. It's been good. It started Daytona. We've been doing it the last 3 weeks for sure straight. And this weekend, we're taking it to Hoppin', which is in South End. We're doing Hoppin'. It's
Okay.
a nice little brewery. We're taking it over there for the last stage on Mamba's Dime open bar.
I told him
Really?
maybe I'll have
Last
to
stage, yes,
collect
sir.
my girlfriends and come up there and see you.
Hey.
I feel like you would be happy about that.
Yeah, come in. Tyler says I would be happy about that. You have some very nice friends that
We'll
can
move
come
on.
by. Yeah. No, but it's gonna be great. So anybody that's in Charlotte that wants to come watch some racing with
I think
us,
that's cool you're doing
hop
that.
in. We're gonna start at Corner Pub in Uptown, and then we're going to Hoppin'.
Oh, so this is a moving party.
It's an
a moving
organized,
party.
event.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
organized. It's almost like a little.
Have you
bar
already gone
crawl.
to the bars and tried to
Yeah,
make all this happen?
yeah. We already got it locked in.
Okay.
That's kind
That's
of
why I
neat.
brought it up.
Do you have specific drinks or anything that you
Oh, yeah.
bring to these
Mamba's-
bars? Like do you have
You need to
Michael
have a
Waltrip,
signature cocktail.
Michael Waltrip beer or whatever they
Maybe.
call it, Bush Light, anything
I don't know.
NASCAR
Do you-
specific?
I don't know. Do you have any suggestions, Kev? Do you think? You
No, I'm just asking.
Oh no, I didn't. We haven't got that
I
far.
think you need to serve your own drink that's named after you.
Okay.
Come up with
Mamba
something.
Moonshine?
Yeah, Mamba's moonshine.
Mamba Shine.
Mamba shine.
Okay, we're moving on. I can see this getting on a shirt. Guys, if you want to leave a voicemail, 805-317-4175, mailbag question, harvickhappyhour4@gmail.com, and I'll see you on Sunday.
Sunday
for the
watch party. All right, time now, guys, for our last call, and we have to grade the burnout, which I think wasn't received quite like
No,
some
I think
of his
this might be
have.
our first F.
Might be our first F for the Darlington lack
Yeah.
thereof kind of burnout
Chris
situation.
Broussard on First Things First, he gives the Cowboys a grade every week, and
Yeah.
this is an F grade, I think, on this burnout.
Not sure what happened there because
Yeah,
he's been doing some good ones.
Yeah, he's done some great burnouts, but this one was not great.
Maybe he was just so hot he wanted to get out of there.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, he drove around for a long time.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you what though, he probably was really hot and a little dehydrated because when he got out, he was ready to do a little celebrating. Because did you see the shoey?
He
Yeah.
made up for it with the shoey.
The shoey was just, I mean, look at him.
Epic. Would you do that, Kevin?
I wonder what prompted this. Oh, if I won, I would do. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay.
I mean,
All right.
shout out Daniel Ricciardo on this. You know what I mean? I don't think I would do this.
Really?
No, I don't think so. I do have a line, and I think it's right about.
I mean, it is your own foot.
I don't care. That's a
someone
fungus
else's
among us.
foot.
I don't need that.
I mean, you probably ate a booger before or something when you were
That's
little.
different. That's different.
You're telling me that
bless.
drinking beer out of your racing shoe is different than eating a booger.
Yeah, for sure.
So you eat boogers.
No, but everyone has once
no.
or twice.
Oh,
We were all kids once.
It's a hard no, I guess, for
Yeah, I
Mama
don't
then
think I'll
on the
do a
shoe.
No shoey.
No, I don't think so.
No, there's
No
no
shoey.
scenario.
I'm not going to say there's no scenario whatsoever.
So if you were racing and you won a race, you would not do a shoey.
I don't think I want to do a shoey after winning a race.
So you'd rather not race.
No, that's not.
The only way you could race if you did a shoey.
Oh, then absolutely.
Okay,
I'll
see?
do the shoey.
Everything's
There's a price.
negotiable.
You'll do
Yeah.
a shoey.
to do the race.
To do
Okay.
the race. There you go.
You got some late models still, right? Kevin, I'll do this.
Oh,
you let
boy.
me drive one of your cars. I'll do a
You see where
I don't
shoey.
even
this is
drive my
going.
own cars.
I'll do a shoey out of your shoe
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
to drive one of your cars.
Wow.
There you go. This just got even more interesting.
Oh, see?
Okay.
That shoey's not so bad now, is it?
Not now.
No,
Not that
it's,
you're
it's-
something.
it's starting to get intriguing.
It's a little better now.
Yeah. Guy
to
just
get a
won a
little
cup race.
interesting.
I mean, drink beer out of whatever.
I mean, listen, do we have to talk to Delana about this, or can you make this happen on your own? I know
not
she's
sure.
the boss.
I'm not sure.
Yes, he's nervous.
It's probably not even really up to either one of us.
well, where's Josh Jones at?
Yeah.
I need to talk
Oh,
to
you need to
Josh.
get him on the line, guys. Okay, time now to take a look at the point standings where Mamba and I are now tied. Kevin
For
and
what?
I,
No, we're tied for what?
You guys
For
have
the
totally
lead.
screwed me on
We're
this
tied
deal.
for the lead?
because there's 0 points awarded for Kevin and I for picking Chase Briscoe, which seemed like it was going to actually get us some points until
It was going to be fine until
the last bit.
last little bit.
And then Mamba, you picked up 6 for picking Ryan Blaney. So now it's a very tight points battle, though, I must say.
But I am in last.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, you are.
But you have a chance to redeem yourself in a few days. So,
You know
Is there
what?
I'd like to protest.
Okay, go ahead.
oh boy.
I'd like to protest
Bring it
my.
to the committee. Let's
I'd
listen.
like to protest
Done.
the fact that you guys abandoned my pick and didn't even ask me
Okay.
what my pick was for whatever week it was.
Okay. When did you know that you weren't going to be here?
Probably beginning of the year.
Right. And you didn't even
I
tell
should have
us.
submitted my pick
Yeah,
then.
we didn't know until the
yes.
Friday before. So I think that is erroneous on all accounts.
Erroneous.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's
Movement
fine.
denied.
It's
I'm going to
okay.
catch up.
Yeah. Well, do you want to go
2 points
first
out.
today?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to take Denny Hamlin.
There you go. He's taking Denny Hamlin. It's a good bet on the short track. I'm going with William Byron. 3 wins he's had there, I think.
I'm going to pass you this week. Go ahead.
Do you think so? So you're not confident in the Hendrick Martinsville
Brigade.
situation.
I mean, I'm kind of a bandwagon guy sitting on this side of the mic. So
Bandwagon kinda
until
guy.
you win, I'm not picking you.
Yeah, you have been. I mean, you have been
fair.
leading the bandwagon for the 11 for a while. If this was the fall race, I would go with the 12 because it just seems like 12 is great in the fall race. I don't know why. Usually this is Hendrick. I would normally probably go with like a Chase or a Byron,
Okay.
but I'm going with Bubba Wallace.
Oh, I knew.
It is
I thought
time.
you might say that.
It is time for
He's
Bubba
been
to
running
get that
good.
dub.
He
He's
has.
been running well. He just had the birth of his baby girl.
more
his
pressure.
No more pressure. Everything's good. We're running
Everything's good.
fast.
I love how he
Charleston
just
makes
announced it on Thursday or
To Regan?
Friday or whatever day it was, Saturday, during his interview.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like, you know,
I
what
had
that
no
is?
idea. Did you?
I like to think that I'm one of his best friends, and I had no idea.
There you go.
But then I did get a picture after, and
Well,
baby's so cute.
Just wanted to keep it a private moment.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
It was over at that point.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how he fares and these picks do. And speaking of Denny Hamlin, you will have an interview with him on
Yes.
Thursday.
Yeah, we had a great interview. Got to sit down with Denny and just kind of pick his brain about everything. His success at Las Vegas, his 2311 team, and everything that he had going on in his life, retirement. And we went fishing.
That's
fishing.
cool.
We did.
He's a
Did
big
you-
fisherman now.
Did you catch anything?
No,
I didn't.
nobody
he?
caught anything.
Oh.
I did cast my line one time. My worm went that way and my hook went that way.
Okay.
So
That's fun.
that's pretty much the story of my fishing career.
Yeah,
There
when
you
it
go.
comes to Bass Pro, Kevin's more on the hunting side of that, not
Yeah.
the fishing side.
I'm not
Gotcha.
I don't really like to fish.
No?
No, it's boring.
Okay.
He's never
He finds it
caught
boring.
anything. That's why.
No,
There you go.
I used to go fishing with my friends all the time, and they would catch like 10 fish, and I would catch one.
See, he's never really caught nothing.
No,
Yeah.
I caught a 7-foot marlin once.
There you
Yeah,
go.
no big
Well,
deal.
we look forward to Kevin's interview with Denny, and also your interview with Tyler Reddick will come out on Tuesday. So we look forward to that. All right,
He's busy. He's in the
Make
sim.
sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out at Harvick Happy Pod. We'll see all of you after Martinsville.